Tito.
Who?
Tito.
Tito?
Santana.
Okay. I still don't get it. Like you said Santana, like it's supposed to make sense
really,
now. I don't like
there was really nothing to get.
Like Tito Jackson or Tito's the vodka. None of them, like if you like clarified by saying Santana, I mean, it didn't really help.
No, there was no point to it. I mean, I could have went Tito Jackson because that was the other thought, but I went Santana. Well, because we're wrestling guys. We're wrestling guys. And,
next time when you answer,
I'm making tacos tonight, so
look at you appropriating cultures. What's funny is now that I get it, if you ever remember to answer the phone Tito again, I will answer with Arriba. But
yes,
it was like wasted this time. We should have worked it out ahead of time off the air. Yeah, this was terrible. Yeah. So has your butthole recovered from the reaming it took on the last podcast?
No, listen, I don't even want to talk about it. You guys aren't funny.
I disagree, and maybe we'll take a poll and see if we are funny or not. Because if people enjoyed that episode, it was because you did the most minimal participation required for you to actually be credited for being on the podcast.
It's funny because I felt like that after. I literally was like, I did nothing. I just went, yeah.
Okay. You and I opened the show, and then as soon as Bobby called in, it was like you were Mr. One-Word Answer guy for most of it. And
look, I will tell you this, though.
Yeah.
If I receive one more message from someone saying, Bobby was so funny, I'm going to lose my shit.
So you have gotten messages.
Yeah.
Oh, see, now I'm going to timestamp this at about 2 minutes and send it to Bobby so that he knows that he's being appreciated and his time isn't being wasted. Because I want to be able to, Now, I know you were complaining a little bit. And about us being too mean with you, and
you were brutal.
And I told you, I said we do have an HR department if you want to.
Right. Oh, we're going to get to that today.
If you want to call the head of the HR department, his name is Billy Fives, and he'll take your call night or day. You can cry to him and see how it works out for you.
I will be filing a complaint, a formal complaint with the HR department. This week, my lawyer is drawing something up right now. I'll be filing. We're the diversity and inclusion board here at the Breakfast Club. Yeah. We'll be hearing about this. I don't feel very inclusive. Included. So welcome. Included in the. Right, and this, so don't worry. The formal complaint will be filed.
So we should be waiting to get some paperwork from Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe Associates.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Who are we kidding? If I called Billy and complained, he'd tell me to stop being a pussy and suck it up. So.
Right. Well, that's our HR department. It's what they call old school.
Right. I do have, it's not very HR friendly here at the Breakfast Club. Oh. But I will say, out of all the messages I got about how funny Bobby was, I got one phone call specifically from someone who did not listen to the podcast, but got the Cliff Notes version from Bobby, and they had to call me and just give me shit about it. Who do you think that person was?
That talked to Bobby. I mean, I
don't know if you're going to get this.
I mean, I always want to go to Howard because he's a notorious phone caller.
It's Howard. It was Howard. You nailed it. I get a call.
He must have called Howard afterwards because we brought him up. Yeah.
I get a phone call, and the phone call from Howard Brody, and I reluctantly answered it. Actually, I will tell you, I didn't answer it the first time. So, but He's very persistent, that Brody, and he, finally I answered, and he said, "Wow, I just talked to Bobby." Okay. Hey, I just talked to Bobby. I said, "Oh, what?" I said, "What did Bobby have to say?" I heard you guys did a podcast. I said, yeah. So I said, what did he tell you? He goes, oh, I heard him and Temples were giving you shit about the Drew Barrymore show, and you're not vaccinated. And he literally verbatim quoted every joke that Bobby said. Howard, like, literally word for word, just reset it to me. And I said, yeah, it's not funny. And then he started talking about the roast, and I heard you guys talked about the roast. I was like, yeah, it wasn't a big topic. I was like, we're not talking about. You're not drawing any viewers, Howard, to the podcast. Nobody wants to hear you.
If he wants us to plug his events, he could sponsor us. Okay, this is not a freebie charity. Okay, or he needs to come on and tell some stories.
So I think he would come on, but
yeah.
he wanted word for word every Bobby joke about Drew Barrymore, and then he's talking about the roast and how he's gonna do the roast. It's gonna be great, and everybody's gonna make fun of me. And I was like, well, I don't know if you can take it because I think people are gonna be pretty mean to you, And he's like, come on, everybody loves me. I was like, yeah, I don't know about that, Howard.
He is in some mirror universe there,
right? Well, so then he says, the end line was, but you know what? You're not going to be there. I said, why would I not be there? He goes, because you're not vaccinated. I was like, oh, here we go. You motherfucker.
Zing.
And then he goes, I gotta go work. And that was the end of it.
Oh,
so
beautiful.
Yeah.
See, that was a Howard Brody story worth telling. It had a punchline to it.
He got me though. He got me.
He got you. I wonder if Bobby coached him on that one.
No doubt he did. There was no way that was not a coached.
You could call him, and at the end, tell him he's not invited because he's not vaccinated.
Right, total Bobby joke. So,
right.
But anyway, But
can I before we go on, I just wanted to remember this with you. Remember yesterday, the day before, when I read to you, we got a comment on YouTube that was like,
right.
I want to listen to a 2 or 3 hour podcast of you guys just ripping Lou Spector.
Right.
And you're like, who is that? And I'm like, oh, it's a regular person that comments on our stuff for the last year and a half, 2 years, how long we've been doing it. And I didn't put 2 and 2 together until we were talking on that phone call. And it literally it was like a Sherlock Holmes moment where 8 clues all fell into place at once. And I'm like, oh, that's Speedy. But for a year and a half, I didn't put it together because it's it's just an account with no videos on it, and it doesn't have his name on it. But it's like Harper something like numbers.
Maybe you just give up his hidden gimmick though.
Well, I didn't give up. I didn't give out the whole thing. Plus, we got 3 people that listen on YouTube. YouTube's the small one because we don't do video, so they don't use it usually to listen to the podcast. But it was funny, and I just wanted to maybe only nerds will appreciate this, but it was all at once I figured out it was Speedy. For a year and a half, I didn't realize this was Speedy. I just thought it was somebody, that listened to the show. And I put all these clues together at once. It was Harper, Roy Harper. Roy Harper is a character from DC Comics. He is a character that was with the Green Arrow, and he was called Speedy. Oh, Speedy. And I it all fell into place. I'm like, oh, that's Speedy. All right. So now when I see those, I know who's actually sending me the messages. Right. I'm that retarded. But then it also clicked in my head that I think he had either I think once we did a Dropbox thing, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and the Dropbox email was Speedy's Harper gimmick. So yeah. But I didn't. I was confused, and I'm doing it all with you, right up top. I talked it out with you, right there on the phone. I'm like,
right.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So I'm only doing this for the benefit of one listener, Speedy, to let him know that I had no idea that was you until everything fell into place at once while I was talking to AJ. Anyway, I'm sorry. It was just on my mind, and I wanted to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing.
No, that did really happen though. That did really happen exactly how you said it. Because you were it all clicked while you were on the phone, and it was it was like you had this moment where you were like, "Oh shit, how did I miss this?"
Right. The funny thing will be he's gonna message go, "That's not me. I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah.
But I'm 99.9% confident that's what it is. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to. I don't know if I was cutting you off or not, but
No,
Howard,
we're done telling about Howard Brody. I mean,
I would
enough Howard for the month.
Maybe we should record the Howard Brody roast.
We should.
I mean, there might be some. It might not be ready for prime time, but I think that I have a feeling no one else is going to record it. So maybe you and I can make like $3 in clicks, putting it on our podcast. So yeah.
Well, I think we should have him on because he has probably some pretty good stories, I would think, from his time in wrestling, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the characters he's, been around. So I think maybe we'll have him on one day. I don't know. We'll see.
It would also be good to hear his side of some of the Howard Brody stories we've told. So
right, and like Fruitgate and which for those of you who don't know, Fruitgate was an incident in Miami, Florida. It was an all-day television taping for Ring Warriors. I think we were there from like 8 or 9 in the morning till 8 or 9 at night. It may even have been later than that.
You recorded like more like 6 episodes in a day or something, right?
Right. It was a lot of TV we had to record. We were filming. So it's it's in like a TV kind of studio environment, and it was it's just you can't leave, so you're stuck there all day, and you're filming wrestling matches, but then you're also filming promos backstage, and there's a lot of kind of waiting around and hanging around, and usually, in those situations, a good promoter would get catering, have lunch brought in, snacks. Well, somebody dropped the ball, and it wasn't Howard, but somebody dropped the ball that day, and there was no food except for fruit.
Well, who
had apples.
Who would be to blame if it wasn't Howard?
Oh, fucking Larry the Lens over there. Larry the Lens. He's the culprit of all this. So all we had was fruit. And at first in the morning you're like, oh, fruit, okay, that's fine. But you're expecting some sort of substance for lunch or dinner, knowing you can't leave all day.
Right.
And he kept like I must have eaten 45 bananas that day, and because all I had was bananas and apples, and maybe there was some pineapple earlier in the day. So you eat a couple bananas at first and some other fruit just because it's it was there in the morning. It's a good pick me up in the morning. But then lunch came, and we're like, hey, where's lunch? And he's like, oh shit, I didn't order lunch. And he's like, I gotta get lunch, so I'm gonna go to Subway and get some subs. Well, you walk into a Subway in the middle of the afternoon and say, I need subs for 50 wrestlers. I mean, they can't just whip it up in 2 minutes. Like, this isn't like, so it took hours and hours. So now, you're there from the morning to the afternoon. Now the afternoon turns to like early evening.
That's the kind of thing you have to call like the day before.
Easily the day before. Right. Anybody with a brain would know that. So, we were starving, and you could only eat so many bananas and apples. And it started to become the joke of like, well, where's the food? And he kept saying, it's coming. And, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and everybody's like, where's the food? And it started to become a joke that all we had to eat was fruit, and we started to call it Fruitgate. Well, all of a sudden, 5, 6 o'clock rolls around, and we're ready for the last set of tapings. The subs show up. Subway subs showed up. And the subs he ordered he only got like a couple platters for 50 giant wrestlers
who haven't eaten all day. Yeah.
Right. So, instead of, he was, I don't know if he was being cheap about it or they just couldn't make that many or whatever it was. So the running joke was to this day is that they fed us fruit, so we called it Fruitgate because all we ate all day was fruit, and everybody was miserable. That's also the day where Billy Fives left before his scene because he had to go pick up his daughter from the airport.
That was the same show.
Same show.
Okay.
So Billy Fives is supposed to stay and do this thing, and we were behind on the taping, and everybody was grumpy because we were starving, and Billy had to leave to go pick up his daughter from the airport.
He had told them.
Everybody.
I have to do my
right.
thing.
They knew ahead of time.
Right.
Right. So his segment kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed. Well, finally, there was a point where Billy's like, I got to go. And he didn't even tell anybody. He just grabbed his bag. Now, mind you, he's a champion at the time. So the segment with the champion is now totally going to be scrapped. But he doesn't even tell anybody. He grabs his bag and he just leaves because he's got to go. He's got to go pick up his daughter from the airport.
But there is glorious video of this.
Well, JoJo decided he was going to film this.
Mm-hmm.
So Billy, on film, makes a video basically telling Howard to go fuck himself. He has to go pick up his daughter, and because their lack of time and, time management and care for them, that he was just leaving. So the only, Howard doesn't even know. So then the segment comes up, and he's like, where's Billy? And we're like, Billy left. And he's like, what? What do you mean Billy left? The acting champions, you got to get him on I got to film their segment. We're like, yeah, he's gone. He left. And he's livid. Well, JoJo pulls up the video and says, well, here, he left you a message. The message was Billy flicking off Howard, like, go fuck yourself. You took too long.
He cut a healthy promo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And he flicked him off. And so that was Howard. 2 minutes before the segment's supposed to go, gets that. Now he's freaking out because he doesn't have Billy there. So he's got to change the whole segment 2 minutes before it goes out there. But, that's Billy. Like, you fucking took too long. Whatever I tell you.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that whole taping was just, oh, man. We could talk about, you know what? You guys want to hear wrestling stories. This is the bad side of wrestling. The taping is just all day, no food. You're grumpy. You're tired. You got to wrestle numerous matches. And to top it off, you got like 50 guys there, and it's a fucking cluster. But that day, I was with at the time, Big Vito was in our group, the Slambinos. And Big Vito was adamant. He was in WCW, so, and WWF or whatever. So he's had some fame. You can't say he hasn't. He's been in ECW. He was in all three. So the guy's been on national television. He's wrestling in front of, large crowds. But he was so adamant when he was with us to, like, your wrist tape had to be a certain way. So, 45 minutes of him teaching us how to tape our wrist. And I'm like, is this fucking guy serious? Like, you're teaching a bunch of grown men how to put tape on their wrists, how to be a certain way. We practiced our entrance, like, for an hour and a half, how he wanted to come out. And you'd be a step off and be like, no, do it again. You gotta do it again. You're off one step. I'm like, what? It's fucking practice, bro.
I feel like with anyone else, this would be a tremendous rib. Like he was ribbing you guys, but.
Right, but he wasn't. He was dead serious. Dead serious. So we had to practice how we were going to walk to the ring, how we were going to walk out of the curtain. I mean, even to the point where we practiced how we were going to stand behind the curtain where nobody could even see us. That was like a 15-minute ordeal of how we were going to line up to walk out. And then to walk out, how were we going to be on the stage? Look, and I get it. You wanted it to be perfect, but it was just too much. It was just too much of that where it was just like, it was annoying. And even like in the ring, like your behavior, he literally tried to tell us how to be from beginning to end. And it made it not fun. Like I actually hated that entire run with him. I fucking hated it. I wasn't allowed to be myself. I was like being somebody he wanted me to be. And he wanted us to be like these tough Italians. And I was like, yeah, no, like I'm definitely a funny Italian. Right. Not a tough one at all. But that taping is when we went to Howard after, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to be a part of this. Um, I don't want to do it. And Howard was like, what's the problem? And I said, he's too much. He's making me be somebody I don't want to be. So the next taping is when they said, okay, be yourself. And that's when I started to become the funny Slambino. And, the first promo we did the next show, I said, can I just ad lib? Like, let me just be me. And they were like, fine. And Vito was so hesitant. Like, no, I don't want you to do this. Like, you got to be. I'm like, no, let me be me or I'm not going to do it. So he finally gave in. And within the first 2 seconds, the first promo, he says something. He's trying to be serious. And I said, I literally said in the promo that we're filming for television, I said, I mean, come on, man. You even tell us how to tape our wrists. And he fucking lost it. He lost it. Like, he started laughing. And they're like, cut. And he's like, Jesus, because it was funny. And
right.
And I was like, look, just let's be light about it. And he listened, and we were totally funny about it, like the whole thing. This person from work has called me 3 times in a row. What could they possibly want? What could they want?
They miss you. It's been an hour or two.
I mean, insane. I'm going to have to text them and be like, is it an emergency?
Right. Tell them you're podcasting. You got TikToks to make. So, yeah, and then you guys ended up doing the comedy thing, which worked way better. And then they eventually got rid of Vito and brought in Disco, who, I mean, for all my problems with him, which are,
Well, so what happened was,
he's still good. He's still a better fit than Vito.
Well, what happened was Vito became he lightened up, and it was great. And then there was just a beef between all of us because he tried to kind of like stab us in the back a little bit, and he was like, he kind of wanted things to be his way, and he kind of tried to get me out of the group. And he wanted me out of the group, and he wanted Frankie out of the group, and he wanted it was the strangest thing. So, but Howard, being a good person, told me, oh, Vito called, he wants you out. And I'm like, wants me out? I'm like, you fucking key to this whole thing. And I was like, I'm not doing it if he's doing it. I'm done. And Frankie said the same thing, and he was like,
Howard would rather replace one guy than 2, so.
Right, and he was like, you know what, like Vito, and plus Vito was suing WWE, and there's all this stuff. So Howard was like, yeah, he's out, and he brought Glenn in because we were going to be in Vegas anyway, and Glenn lives there. So we did it with Disco, and let me tell you, it was way funnier. Disco did not one time try to throw his muscle around. He was just like, hey, I'm here. Whatever you need me to do, just tell me. And if you watch the Ring Warrior promos from backstage with Disco, we didn't rehearse any of it. The literal thing would be, Howard would say, here's the gist of what I need. And we would literally step in the box without even saying a word to the three of me, Frankie, or Disco. Wouldn't even say a word to each other. What are you doing? Moving fucking furniture over there?
No, why?
Sounds like you're moving fucking furniture.
I think that's a huge exaggeration.
I mean, it sounds like you are.
No, I was moving a plastic cap that's on the table. Go ahead.
No.
It's not furniture.
Anyway,
for sure.
We would step into this box.
You're just dying to hear one peep so you could try and pull that shit off me. That's all.
I mean, one peep. You were fucking.
One peep.
It sounded like you were like
yeah, hammering nails
in the room.
I'm sure I was hammering nails over here.
Anyway, we would step into the box with Disco. With me, Frankie, and Disco, we would just know this is who you're wrestling and this is what needs to happen. The basis of the promo. Okay, cool. We would step in that box and they would say action and nail it on the first try. The three of us would nail it on the first one take, all ad-libbed, and it was amazing. It was funny. It was just all ad-lib. Nothing was like we literally rehearsed nothing. And Nobody talked over each other, and it was just like a 1-2-3 punch and right out. And I got to tell you, as much as I mean, I can't. Me and Frank don't get along these days. We don't speak, and Disco does his own thing. That was fun. It was fun, and it was good because we kind of really gelled together well. But then you got in the ring, and Frank was like a bag of fucking potatoes, and I had to carry the team. But besides that, the promos were great.
Yeah,
it was fun. It was fun stuff.
I remember I didn't go to the Tampa tapings or the Vegas ones, but when they were here, right. I just remember like the two successive ones where I don't want to say her name, but Schmensen was the first one.
Why do you want to say her name?
I didn't. So where she was still harassing me, so if you will, and
right.
And like it, I just remember that I think Howard had become enamored with her at one point.
Oh, he was.
And this was pre-Bruce, and so I remember that like a group of us. It was a weird group of us, but it was like me and Jensen and Howard and Dwayne Long and fuck, I don't even remember who else. But it was like a big table of us. Went to like Duffy's or something, one of those types of places, and I just remember afterwards, like the fucking like negotiations she was trying to do with me, to have me come back to her hotel room to quote hang out for a little bit, and it was me in the parking lot. Everyone had already left. It was like me in the parking lot talking to her because I've known her like 20 years. It's like she's a friend and whatever. Right. But this has been an ongoing
friend. Thing. Did you do air quotes?
Huh?
Did you air quote friend?
No, it's always been friends. And at least from this guy. And I just remember like a fucking like a 20-minute negotiation, maybe even longer, of me trying to not have to go. Because I knew like
right.
I'm like, what's the purpose of this anyways? You live in Orlando. I live in Fort Lauderdale. There's no, and if we go back and we end up getting involved with each other for the night, it's just gonna be a fucking mess. I know her. And like all kinds of negotiations. She already had a hotel room. She was staying. It was. I mean, I won't give you all the gritty details, but there's some stuff you would really laugh at. And so I think that was the final straw. But I know how, like, because at the next show, she showed up, like, fucking in like this like super fucking hot outfit, with, like the dress and the heels and everything. Yes. She was there to land a wrestler. She was done with me, and she landed one. Boy, did she land one! I was always curious if she landed one on the premises, if you know what I mean. If she found a broom closet and I was always curious. I don't know. I don't know if you got any information on that, but. Yeah.
No, I just like, that whole, and you missed the Tampa show, which probably would have been, I mean, you may have, been married after that night, with her, and I love how you just changed her name. Like, I don't feel like I can let you get away with it.
What?
This name change you just gave her.
I didn't really change her name. Anyone that knows is going to know.
Right. Anyway, Jesse,
I mean, I didn't say she ended up with Bruce for like 5 years or anything like that.
Yeah, so
for anyone to like put two and two together.
But speaking of Bruce, and this may be boring everybody with wrestling stories, but
I think
the Bruce Santee incident in Tampa, you were not there for, was one of the craziest things I've ever seen in wrestling.
What was what incident?
So that night, Howard Bloody booked. He booked. He doesn't listen to the show. Howard booked a guy named the Sheik, which the Sheik had been the market crasher before that. He was like did a gimmick where he was like on Wall Street and I'm gonna get dog food for the dog so she doesn't bark. So that's what you hear. Anyway,
because it sounds like you're moving furniture over there.
Yeah, well, I owed you one. So that night, Bruce is the heavyweight champion, and Howard and Larry have like a little beef with Bruce because Bruce doesn't really give a shit. He doesn't care about wrestling. He doesn't care about, but he does care if it doesn't make sense. And he voiced his opinion. They wanted him to lose to this guy, the Sheik. The Sheik is, if anybody knows him, he's a good wrestler. Like, I always enjoyed his work, but he's also a mark for himself. Like, I'll say it. I really don't care. He's a mark for himself. And he always thinks that he should have been going over to been the best, the champion, to this. And I've heard issues where he's like he went to Japan and he's maybe because he flew for free and, maybe paid his way. I don't know if any of that's true. It's just the rumors. But so this night he's supposed to lose. Bruce is the champion of Ring Warriors. He's going to lose a belt to Sheik. And Bruce is like, I'm not doing it. He's like, I'm not doing it. It's not happening. It's not going to happen. I'm not doing it. So now you've got this promoters who feel like they're being taken hostage, that the guy they want to lose the belt doesn't want to lose the belt. Like, it's a fake sport.
Were they trying to move the belt off of Bruce because he was like kind of having issues at the time?
So Bruce was absolutely hammered that night, like next level. Like, he was next level hammered. Like, I don't know what he was going through, but he was on another level that night.
Well,
like, totally.
But was that around the time of like the Facebook stuff with the police?
Probably around that time, yeah. So he was hammered that night. So now they're arguing and they're trying to tell Bruce, you got to lose the belt to him. You got to lose the belt. We're going on and on. Like, it's hours of them arguing and fighting. Well, Sheik decides to, like, kind of step to Bruce and say something. Like, well, Bruce is, he's hammered. So chairs started flying. I mean, people were about fighting. People in each other's faces. Bruce may have pushed Larry. Howard he pushed. I mean, it's out of control. It's chaotic. People are talking. They're going to kill each other. I mean, it was insane. Like, it was such chaos. Chaos to where, you kind of step back and go, I'm not fucking getting involved in this. This is going to be ugly. Like, this is ugly. Like, something ain't right.
Yeah.
So Bruce said, I'm not doing it. Bruce was crying at one point. He was literally in tears because he was fucking hammered.
Right.
So he's like, I'm not doing it. This isn't happening. Big fight breaks out backstage. And the fans have no idea what's going on because they can't see behind the curtain. But, like, I mean, it was pretty ugly. Like, it got ugly. So, I think Sheik may have threatened Bruce. He was going to kill him. And Bruce, I don't know. This is nuts. Anyway, all this happens. And it ends up, they're not going to do it. They're not doing the match. Bruce is not doing it. I'm not doing it. So, Sheik ends up, like, leaving. They're not doing it. Not going to happen. Well, now they got to fill the main event spot. And they don't know how to fill it. At this time, Bruce and Frankie Giotto, who is part of the Slambians with me, they also have heat. Like, mega heat. Like, gonna kill each other. Bad heat. They're gonna fight. They hate each other. They don't even go around each other all day. No words are spoken to each other.
I feel like that's still residual.
Well, it was bad at this time. Like, it was bad. I don't know the story behind it. Anyway, comes up, we need a main event now because the Sheik's gone. Bruce doesn't want to drop the belt. What are we going to do? Well, Frankie says, I'll work Bruce. Now everybody's on pins and needles going, these two guys want to kill each other. Now they're going to work each other. So Bruce says, I'll do it. All of a sudden, Frankie and Bruce are, they still hate each other, but they're going to do what's best for the show, best for the business. It's a packed house too. Absolutely packed house. So they're going to wrestle each other in the main event. Now everybody's kind of still on pins and needles because Frankie's unsure if Bruce is going to, like, shoot on him, which shooting on means, like, he's going to fight him for real, like, kick his ass. So Frankie's ready to fight for real if this happens. So they're kind of going into the match. They didn't call anything, so it's not like they sat there and planned the match. They're just going to go out there and have a match, like two professional veterans, and they're both kind of unsure of what's going to happen. Like, is this going to be a real fight? So now I'm unsure. We got Pete Cannon with us, who's also was managing us at the time. He's unsure. So everybody's kind of unsure. We're also in Bruce's hometown. Bruce's whole family's there. Bruce's dad's there. So, everybody's kind of on pins and needles, like, what's going to really happen tonight? So anyway, we go out there for the main event, and who's Frankie's boy, lets me know 2 seconds in that in case anything happens and Bruce gets out of control, like, he's got his knife on him, like he's going to stab Bruce. I'm like, oh my fucking God. So now I'm like, I don't want to be involved in it. I love Bruce. And I love, at the time I was cool with Frankie and Pete. And I still like Pete, but, like, I love Bruce, and I'm like, this fucker's going to, like, he's going to stab him if something happens. Like, this is out of control. Like, this is not why I got into wrestling. So the match starts, and let me tell you something. They tore the fucking house down. They had an absolute brawl. Like, insane brawl. Like, they beat the shit out of each other. Safely. Like, they didn't hurt each other. You know what I mean? Like, it was a safe. They got the shit out, but safely. Well, comes towards the end, and Bruce wants me to run in. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I run in, and we didn't call any of this. I run in, Bruce hits me with one of his big moves. Oh, the fucking crowd goes crazy. And then he hits Frankie. 1, 2, 3. The place goes apeshit. It's all Bruce's family there and friends, and the place is packed. And it was fine. So we get in the back after, and Frankie and Bruce hugged it out. They literally, everything that they had been fighting and arguing about and hated each other for, they hugged it out and were like, hey, it's over. We beat the shit out of each other for 20 minutes. Like, safely beat the shit out of each other. Nobody died. Nobody got hurt. Were they beat up? For sure. But their beef was over. And they did good business. The Sheik, Bruce was like, I wasn't working with that motherfucker, and I wasn't putting him over. He's a mark. Exactly what his words were. And that night it was crazy because, I don't know. I'm thinking, fuck, if Bruce gets out of hand, this guy's going to go in and stab Bruce. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is going to be ugly. But it ended up working out fine. Everybody was fine. Bruce was fine after, but Howard never used him after that because he felt he held him hostage. But look, I don't know. I don't think Sheik should have been. He wasn't part of really Ring Warriors. He just showed up and wanted to. I don't know. I don't even know the story behind it. Probably a bad booking decision by Howard Brody, but whatever. But yeah, that was a wild night, man. The crowd was insane.
Well, it's a weird decision if he's like, they obviously must have had plans to use him for at least a few shows if they're putting the belt on him.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know.
Or they were going to have him drop it to someone else, on another TV taping that same weekend. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how it was. Off schedule. I wasn't there.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a wild night. That night was insane. Absolutely insane. Just, because it was like, I didn't know what was going to happen. There was fights backstage. It was like, and the fans would never know any of this because they didn't see any of it. And they had no clue Frankie and Bruce hated each other, but they put on a hell of a performance. And like, the fans loved every minute of it. It was absolutely fantastic. And all they did was just literally beat each other up. But, that was just a crazy night. But Bruce, if anybody knows Bruce, what is he, 6'5"? I don't even know. He's a big motherfucker.
Yeah, he's a big
just a big dude. Looks like a lineman. I mean,
he's big, he's solid, and he also has this loud, gravelly voice. Like the voice fits the fucking
Right. And he's I mean, since the day I met him, he's always been good to me.
Same.
Yeah, never had any issues with the guy. I mean, I've worked him before. Does he hit hard? Oh, yeah. But when you hit him hard back, he loves it. It's just, he didn't complain about it. But, yeah, it was just those times in wrestling. Like, that's when, like, I think about, and that was kind of later in my career, I mean, it was before the WGN stuff, so I really wasn't in great shape. I got in better shape when I knew we were going on national television. Right. But
someone should lie to you and say you're going on national television again.
Yeah, every time Howard calls, I think this is it. Season 42 is starting, but
You just need to lose the weight. Maybe Bobby can call and pretend to be the booking agent of the Drew Barrymore show and say we need you in shape
here we go.
by February, 14th for the Single Dad's Valentine's Day edition.
Now, if I would have been on that show, if I had the guarantee that I was going on that show, I would have gotten in shape because I did not want to be on TV looking like this.
Of course, I know. But
that would have been the episode of man, I know why this guy's single. Look at him. He looks like a fucking sack of potatoes, like a block of mozzarella.
Some melted ice cream sitting in a chair over there.
Right. Right.
Oh, yeah. I always remember the one show. It was a Ronin show that that Bruce did, where Bruce had been off alcohol for like 6 months. He had quit drinking. He was stone cold sober.
Bruce.
And a couple things happened that night. One was that. Are you all right over there?
Don't worry about it. Just keep talking.
Did you write that thing down and put in that envelope like I asked?
No, you're not getting shit.
I just need you to listen. Even if you just verbally agree to it on a podcast, so I can play it to the lawyers and the judge. That's all I need.
The lawyers.
For the TikTok people. Yeah, there were a couple things happened. One was that, like, I think before the show even started, while people were still like milling around in the building, and before they let but before they let the ticket buyers in, I think Bruce was sort of harassing Amy Rose for a little bit, just kind of like wherever she was in the building, he'd peek his head out of the curtains and kind of go, Amy Rose, I think he had a thing for her that night, and then he had to wrestle. I don't know if it was a tag match or a 3-way, but it involved Barrington Hughes.
Oh.
And apparently the match was so fucking bad. Apparently,
right.
Like, Bruce felt Barrington was so fucking bad that back in the locker room, and this is like secondhand, but it's from Marco, who was in the locker room for this, so I can kind of say with some authority that Bruce, by the time I think Bruce had swigged like half a bottle of Jack by the time they both had gotten back there, and he cut a promo out Barrington, yelling at him, saying how bad he is, and it was so bad it forced him back to drinking. He had been sober for 6 months.
Oh my God!
He had been sober for 6 months, but wrestling you drove me back to drinking. Knocked me right off. Oh my God! Knocked me right off the wagon.
That's so funny.
And of course, like, I'm sure some tears were shed because that's the thing that that Barrington does at times. I have seen it before on 2 other occasions, but yeah, he was livid and just fucking screaming at him at how bad he was and how he was so bad he forced him out of sobriety,
back into drinking.
Right, like
wow.
You can't even imagine what goes through my life on a daily basis, and I was able to keep from drinking, but one fucking match with you, and here I am chugging a bottle of Jack. Yeah, that's
so fucking funny. Yeah. But those are, like those are the times. I mean, I've been around Bruce a lot, obviously, just because when I was like, we were coming in kind of the same time, and we were at IPW in Tampa. We hung out quite a bit, but he's always been that way. Like, he's never changed. Like, that's just Bruce, and
yeah,
you either love it or you hate it. You take it or you don't. But
he's a giant personality. Like,
right.
Like, if
right.
Listen, you just don't start off on the wrong foot with him, and you could have a great time with that guy. You know what I mean? Right,
and he'll have your back.
Like that day that we went to it was when we were at WrestleMania in Orlando, and you and I went to WrestleCon for like an hour or two, and then we happened to like end up walking down the street to the Ale House. And we saw, everyone kind of all accidentally collided at the Ale House, like whether it was Wayne Van Dyke and Bruce and Jackie.
Right.
and Jessica.
450 was there
Blake,
at one point.
450, Garrett Bischoff, and God, I can't remember everyone that was there. And then later, like other people showed up that weren't really with our group, but but that group, like we spent like I think we spent like 14 hours at the ale house drinking.
Yeah.
I think we had 2 meals there and got really drunk. I was
we did.
Like
we were drunk. Yeah. And Blake almost got beat up and arrested.
Oh, that was when he got into it with
Jensen's friend.
Schmenson's friend Kelly, I think her name is.
Kelly. Yep, Kelly.
And I don't I still to this day don't understand what the issue was there.
I don't either. I don't know what the issue was.
Except that I think Blake got in her face yelling at one point.
So
and that was the time of the Sugar Mama when
right.
Blake was having all of his meals and drinks catered to, and we were like, "What the fuck? Come on!"
Sugar Mama was paying for everything.
Yeah, with it was a real like that was the like I saw it in the past where she was buying him stuff, and kind of like we're all looking at each other like, "What's going on here?" Because we also know her husband. And this was the first time where it really felt like a cuckolding experience for the amount of time that it was going on in front of him, especially because she wouldn't even buy his chicken tenders in the hotel room, but here she is buying Blake drinks and meals and whatever. I was like,
right.
I was like, oh.
And also, this is the weekend of the infamous. Jackie and Blake incident where you guys left him there. So
that Saturday led us into a tremendous abandonment Monday. It wasn't even Sunday. It was Monday morning.
It was Monday, right. Yeah, that was the infamous weekend, and that was a good time. And TK was with us, wasn't he?
TK and who did Josh?
No, it was just me and TK.
You came down with TK. Okay, that's right. Yeah.
TK.
That was fun. That was a good time.
That was good. Good times. Well, it's good wrestling stories today, pal.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll do better next time.
Yeah, all right. Well, you're cutting into my taco time now. So.
Oh, I know. Tito Arriba. Okay. Well, unless you want me to call Billy for the HR complaint. We should really have that on the air.
No. You don't call him. I call him.
No, we'll call him together.
Once I file my grievance,
we'll call him together so he can get to the bottom of it, like quickly.
Once I file my grievance with the HR department and the union, my union rep.
Who's that?
Then we'll take it from there.
Who's your union rep?
I don't. I mean, listen. At this point, the only 2 people we've ever had on the show are Bobby and Billy. I can't use them because Bobby would just turn on me.
Marco would be your union rep, but he may no show you.
Yeah, there's no chance in hell I would use him or Blake.
Well, yeah. And I'm part of I'm part of the complaint party, so yeah, I can't be me.
I may have to call in Howard Brody for this one. There's nothing like a good Jewish lawyer. A good Jewish lawyer.
Oh my God! He's definitely only a lawyer in a wrestler's court. That's for sure.
Right.
All right, buddy.
All right, man.
I'm done with you. Tell that dog to shut up. By the way.
I know. I was going to turn on football, but it's way too early. I feel like it was later.
I know who's playing tonight.
Chiefs and Chargers.
I feel like that was last week's game. Maybe.
No, definitely this week's game.
All right. Well, that sounds like a good game.
All right. I'm gonna go make tacos. Arriba.
Bye.